Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, everyone. Upon hearing tragic news, we Jews traditionally respond with the saying, Baruch Dayan Emet, blessed is the true judge. There are some sermons that I hate to give, yet it seems in recent years I have to keep giving them over and over and over again. I am specifically speaking about sermons of tragedy. We are all aware that just this past Wednesday night, a young Messianic Jewish couple, Yaron and Sarah Milgram, were senselessly gunned down in front of the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. A 30-year-old man, identified as Elias Rodriguez, had flown from Chicago to specifically carry out the attack. He reportedly opened fire on Yaron and Sarah, firing at them multiple times in the back. And when Sarah survived the initial shots, he followed her and kept firing at her as she tried to crawl away. The terrorist then discarded the gun and walked right into the museum, where bystanders thought he was one of the victims, and someone even brought him some water. However, when the police arrived, he told them he was the shooter, and as he was being arrested, he yelled out to everyone, "Free, free Palestine." Afterwards, it was discovered that the terrorist posted on social media his intentions and reasoning for doing so, which he repeated to the police while in custody. Lashinsky and Milgram both focused their careers on foregoing peace, on peace between Israelis and Palestinians. However, they were murdered simply because of hatred. This was an act of pure anti-Semitism. The murderer did not know Yaron and Sarah were staffers at the Israeli embassy, or that Yaron was Israeli. He simply targeted individuals because they were coming out of a Jewish museum. Both Yaron and Sarah, to make this, for our community even more impactful, is they were one of our own. They were Jewish believers in Yeshua. Yaron was an active member of a Messianic Jewish congregation in Jerusalem called Melech HaMelachim, and he was born in Nuremberg, Germany, to an Argentine Jewish father and a German Christian mother. He moved to Israel at the age of 16, where he served in the IDF and attended a Hebrew-speaking Messianic Jewish congregation there. After graduating with a bachelor's and master's degree, he moved to Washington to work as a research assistant in the Israeli embassy's policy department. And there's a wonderful tribute out, I'm sure some of you have read, which talks about how great he was at his job, of really just a person who listened. And that's where, at the embassy, he met and fell in love with Sarah Milgram, a young woman from Kansas City. So for the Kansas City folk back there. Where she grew up in a Reformed synagogue. And in college, she was active on the board of the University of Kansas Hillel. And she traveled to Israel on a birthright tour and was deeply committed to finding common ground between Israelis and Palestinians. Before joining the Israeli embassy, Sarah Milgram worked for Tech to Peace, an advocacy group training and encouraging dialogue between young Palestinians and Israelis. Sarah was a new Jewish believer, and she was actually led to faith in Yeshua by Yaron, from what we understand from friends who knew them in Jerusalem. Yaron had bought a ring, and the couple were going to travel to Jerusalem this coming week so that Sarah could meet Yaron's parents and then be immersed. And after she was immersed, then he was going to propose to her. The hatred of this attack is horrendous. The continually rising hatred, particularly among young people, toward Israel and the Jewish people is devastating. Hiding behind anti-Zionism, Jews are targeted on college campuses, city streets, and even in front of Jewish museums. In 2009, you may even remember the man who entered the Holocaust Museum in D.C. with a gun, where a security guard was killed. Or in 1999, the man who entered a Jewish school, a preschool in Southern California, and began shooting. Just this Passover, another nut job targeted the governor's mansion of Josh Shapiro and his family just hours after hosting a Seder for members of the wider Jewish community. Since October 7th, Jews have been beaten in the streets. An old woman was killed in her home. A Jewish man was beaten and killed on a street corner near where we used to live in California. A young Jewish girl was gang raped outside of Paris, and more, simply because they were Jewish. Since October 7th, 2023, anti-Semitism has risen over 360%, and it's even higher on college campuses. In the months following October 7th, there was an average of nearly 34 anti-Semitic incidents per day. 34 anti-Semitic incidents per day, and those are only the reported ones. The numbers are actually way higher, but people are afraid to say anything because they know they're going to be dismissed. In the same way, when somebody called our son a dirty Jew at school, and my wife, of course, went on a tirade and went to the principal, it was completely blown off. It's not a big deal. Kids are just be kids. And she was trying to explain to them, this is a serious issue. And the thing that's frustrating for all of us is if this was any other people group, something would have been done. If my son would have used either the wrong pronoun, or if somebody would have called another ethnic person something wrong, if they would have used the N-word or something else, it would have been dealt with. But because it was a dirty Jew, kids will just be kids. In the months following October 7th, there was, I mentioned, an average of nearly 34 anti-Semitic incidents per day, putting 2023 on track to be the highest year for anti-Semitic acts according to Jews against Jews since the ADL began tracking this data in the 1970s. The number was also high in 2024. And as I reported in a recent course I taught on this new anti-Semitism, in a recent study conducted by the ADL Center for Anti-Semitism Research, 24% of Americans endorse 6 or more anti-Jewish tropes in 2024. Not just one. What did I say? Oh, I said endorse. Endorse 6 or more anti-Semitic tropes in the last year. So that means people who maybe, support one Jewish trope, maybe like, the media is controlled by Jews or whatever, if you hold just one of those, it's even higher. But if you hold 6 or more tropes against the Jewish people, that's a trope just means all the things you're used to hearing about Jews. We control the world, we're the ones behind 9/11, we're the ones, you fill in the blank, whatever you hear. So 6 or more of those are supported by a quarter, 25%, 24%, but basically a quarter of all Americans. This isn't the world, this is the Americans. Anti-Semitism is drastically on the rise, and we Messianic Jews are not immune from this. It was just a couple months ago I showed up and there's a ton of blood that was just spread around the front of our synagogue. And I called the police, and of course they came out and they didn't really do anything. We'll take a report. And then, and Richard, thank God, he went out with a hose and hosed it down because he happened to be here while we were doing all the repairs on the sanctuary. By the way, we didn't really tell you guys about that one. Messianic Jews are among those who were attacked on October 7th and have fallen as soldiers during the war. We have been victims of campus oppression and even gunned down on the streets of our capital city. Since October 7th, false accusations, blood libels, and hate speech, the like and degree from which we have not heard of since the days of Adolf Hitler, have run rampant throughout the world and show no signs of ceasing. It's not that it wasn't around. People have, continually hated Jews, but now, almost every single night you see it on your TV. You see it all over the internet. You watch an ad for this year's Super Bowl, and you got a t-shirt with a swastika. It was on. This was it was paid for by Kanye West. As a Messianic Jewish community, we find ourselves in a difficult position, targeted alongside our Jewish brothers and sisters, yet also still pushed to the side and blown off within our own community. Over and over again, you'll see that people who don't want to acknowledge that these people were, that the victims, Yaron and Sarah, were Messianic Jews, that some people easily just dismiss Yaron as like, oh, he was just a Christian. No, he was a Messianic Jew. He was a Jewish believer who attended a Messianic Jewish congregation, just like we're doing right now. However, our loyalty to the Jewish people, and most of all to our Messiah Yeshua and the God of our ancestors, continues to burn bright. This is the time where we cannot back down. For those of us who are Jewish, we have no other choice. We have to stand. If you're a part of our community and you worship with us, but you're not Jewish, you also have a responsibility to stand up and to speak out on behalf of the Jewish people. We need to be even more involved in advocacy and support Jewish causes and Jewish education and Jewish summer camps. We need to be speaking out because we can't just assume that it'll happen for somebody else, that somebody else will take up the mantle. This is exactly what Mordechai challenged Esther. Esther wanted to just say, you know what? I don't want to speak out. Don't you understand I'm in a difficult situation? So let somebody else speak out. And Mordechai challenged her, and it's the same challenge that God gives to us today. Sure, maybe deliverance will come from somewhere else, but you and your family will perish. And then finally she says, okay, I'll do it, right? And we know what happened. But the same thing for us. If we don't speak out, then who will speak out for us? May the memories... Did you show their pictures up here when I was talking about them? This is the night that they were gunned down. That this is of Sarah and Yaron. So you have one more. And this is them, like, at in front of the cherry blossoms on the... And when we recite Kaddish, we're going to remember them, as well as I'll say something about the passing of Lou Fenwick this week. But may the memories of Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram inspire us to be and to do more. Am Yisrael Chai, the Jewish people are still here, and we will not back down. Hamans and Hitlers have tried to destroy us. Terrorists and proxy militias attempt to annihilate us, but we are still here. And we will continue to exist until Messiah returns because it's promised in Scripture. Because the Jewish people are the prophetic timepiece. It will be us who, when we are ready, when all Israel is saved, and when we say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, the Mashiach will return to redeem everybody, the entire world, Jews and the nations. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, 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 Am Yisrael Chai. O Davinu Chai. Hey! O Davinu Chai. O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu Chai. O Davinu Chai. O Davinu Chai. O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael 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 Chai. The people of Israel still live, and we will continue. Bo Ruach Elohim, come Spirit of God. And may Mashiach, may you come and repair this world. Amen.